I'm Alexandra Chopson. I played the maid in Comedy of Errors, and I am a full-time high school student.
My name's Randall Lancaster, and I played Duke Solinus of Ephesus, and he's kind of like the mayor of Ephesus. And I also played Balthazar, one of his minor subjects. And outside of Nashville Shakespeare Festival, I work at Father Ryan High School here in Nashville as the English chair, and I teach Shakespeare and World War I and II and British literature.
I'm Bonnie Keene, and I'm a native Nashvilleian. I have quite a diverse career in the arts, a lot of time in the recording studio, recording artist, actor, writer, and enjoy all the diversity of that. So.
And what character did you play?
I played Tiny at about a little bit under 6 foot. Yeah, I am Tiny, who runs the Porpentine in downtown Ephesus.
That's awesome. Foreign.
Well, I have to say that working with Denise Hicks and the Nashville Shakespeare Festival is, having watched them over the years, has been a bucket list dream of mine. This is my second production with them. And I've learned that with Denise, who is so creative with how she translates and makes Shakespeare relevant, you know, that they were speaking about earlier. I knew I was just going to show up for the audition. I didn't see any role for me, but I knew that with Denise, you never know. So when I got the call back for Tiny, there's no Tiny. Who's Tiny? She said, she's the courtesan, but I want to approach it differently. So it was just so much fun to go in and do that and go, what's going to happen? I have no idea. Music's involved, country music, great. I'm not a country music singer, but let's do it. So I didn't know what was going to happen. It was so fun to have this song written by Laurie White, who's a wonderful artist here in town, that closed Act 1. And then to just be incorporated in all the dance and singing, which is part of my history. It's just a blast. And to watch people perk up because it is country music in Nashville. And to see Shakespeare done in that treatment, it's just been a joy. And makes it all that more engaging for the audience, which is part of the joy of being part of this work. So.
Randall, Alexandra, do y'all have?
And it's such a range of music. In that genre, you have "Teach Me to Creature" is much more folk Americana, the Bob Dylan style, and you just really run the gamut. I neglected to say that I do a little music on the side myself, like most everybody in Nashville, and I had actually been a bit of a fan of David Olney before this show. I love his work on Emmylou Harris's record, I think it was Wrecking Ball, and to get a chance to work with guys like him and Stan and Jack and Larry, it's just a real privilege. And in terms of making the Shakespeare text relevant, I mean, this is something Shakespeare did as a matter of course in so many of his plays. I think he wrote twice as many songs or more than he actually did plays. So I think it's something like 80 plus songs if you count even all the smaller ones. And I think, if my memory serves me correctly, I think he even had other people's songs in his play. I think Marlowe has an appearance with a song in one of his plays as well, and he also wrote a song, I think, in Cardenio, which he didn't. It's doubtful whether he wrote most of that play, but one of his songs is in that play. So they were trying to make it relevant and accessible to their audiences too, because they wanted people to come and see the plays first to delight them and have them come back, for more. I just love the way they worked choreography with all of the songs. Lots of choreography.
Lots of running.
And it's just been a real a blast to add that new dimension and to flesh it out in that way and involve people and engage people, because you can do so much more in a song sometimes in a shorter amount of time. Like David only takes that 150, 60 line dialogue between Aegean and Solinus, and he reduces it to a song, and he gets it all there. It's that dialogue lasts for the length of a Bible, but this song is just a few minutes, so.
Yeah, music is it's the universal language. So for people who go to Shakespeare in the Park because it's fun and beautiful and they enjoy listening to it, but they sometimes can't quite grasp the language, it's such a nice reprieve from that.
So I now want to ask each of you, what did you learn from your role or from your character? Did you learn anything about yourself? Did you learn anything more about Shakespeare? Maybe even about Nashville because it was so Nashvilleized? And I guess we can start with you, Alexandra.
As a young actor, everything I do, I feel like I'm learning every single day. This spring was my first time doing things outside of high school. So working as an apprentice and being trained so thoroughly, it has been such a life-altering experience, not only with acting, but with just observing people and soaking in everything they say. I know Denise, almost every time she opens her mouth, I'm like, oh wow, I should write that down. So, and just being on stage with working professionals in a field that I hope to go into, it's so surreal and inspirational.
Well, what did I learn? I teach Shakespeare in the classroom. I try to take my scholar's hat off when I'm actually acting it and really just look at the text. And when you look at the text of so much of Shakespeare, I said before that he wanted to delight his audience because he wanted to entertain them. But a lot of times he also had something to say that was instructive, and a lot of times he did that in such a way that he'd use these plays to sort of hold a mirror up to the faces of those in his society, and a lot of times he'd hold up different kinds of people in the same role, like we have two servants here in the Dromios, but they're treated very differently. They have very different relationships with their antipholuses. And he likes to show these different kinds of people by contrast. Which one are you? What looks best to you? I mean, I think, and those are questions he asked directly, but it kind of begs them. And in my case, in the case of Duke Silenus, he frames the play by setting up the problem. He comes out and the first words are basically to Aegeon, "You don't belong here, we're going to kill you." And there's a war and there's opposition between the two kingdoms of Ephesus and Syracuse, where Aegeon is from, and they don't like each other. And my character is very adamant about adhering to the letter of the law. You're not supposed to be here. The penalty is you die unless 1,000 marks can be levied to ransom you. If that doesn't happen, too bad, so sad. And at the moment it doesn't happen, but if you look at the 60 line dialogue, you see the Duke gradually starts to sympathize with him. And of course, when David sings this song, I try to do that same thing. And I guess as far as what I've learned, in Shakespeare, a lot of times you have a conflict between a few things. Like in this case, we have a conflict between justice and mercy. Okay, here's the justice of the law. Is there room to be merciful? And Silenus really, I think, wants to find some room to be merciful, because I don't think he really wants to kill this guy, but he's trying to find a way out for him too. So, and then he comes on at the end of the play to resolve it. And thankfully, all kinds of love, grace, and mercy shows up, and you get to have that happy resolution at the end, which is so typical in comedy. So I really think, in terms of what I've learned, it's reinforced and affirmed all the time in Shakespeare. He loves it when love shows up, and when you can temper that justice with grace and with mercy. And this is an early play. And he'll reaffirm that in later plays. So that's reaffirmation to me is still learning, because we still have to reaffirm what we've learned. So
one of the reasons it's great to be part of this process is to sit around the table and do table work with someone like Randy, who's just got so much background with Shakespeare, and I absolutely love the process. I'm really only interested in being part of a collaborative process where you learn. Because I think that as an artist, with music or with word, you're always learning, and you never stop. And this is one of those processes again with me. This cast has been amazing. What I did when I found out the setting for Tiny and that she was based on a very well-known real-life character, a woman in Nashville named Bess, who bought the Orchid Lounge downtown Nashville in the 60s. She had very little money. I did a lot of research on the 60s in Nashville. I went back to a special that Tom Hanks produced with CNN on the 60s, on all the elements of what happened in the 60s. And I looked at what happened in Nashville and a lot of things I didn't know. And I took a lot of notes on that. It was very eye-opening. And the woman that ran the Orchid Lounge was very sympathetic for musicians. And downtown Nashville in the 60s was kind of a seamy, crazy place, which really fits with Comedy of Errors. As you know, they're saying, you know, who knows what's going on down here with producers and wicked women and, you know, all this. It was a crazy, wild place. And musically, the drug scene with, you know, Johnny Cash and a lot of the artists was really kind of off the chain. So, chain, there's the thing. I found that there, you know, you continually discover, every time we do the play, I found some new part of me that resonates with Tiny, who, as Bess did, I think she is kind of Mama Tiny down there, you know, what's going on. I don't like it when he's going to arrest Jean, you know, with David, and I'm going to try to help take care of that. And then, but basically it comes down to Antipholus and money. I give him a ring because he needs this chain, because he's going to give me this chain. Okay, I don't have that much money. So the whole second act, I'm trying to get my money back. So, you know, that theme of betrayal, and like, wait a minute, I know you, what are you doing? Of course, it's the wrong Antipholus. And then everybody else is really happy, but I need my money back because if not, my business is going down. You know, Shakespeare is just brilliant with humanity and how we deal with, like you were saying, love, grace, and mercy, but betrayal, confusion, financial stress. It's just so rich. It's just layer after layer after layer of richness. And that whole second act is just running and literally running and dancing. And it was so much fun for me to, because having a theater background and a dancing background, I don't often use that anymore now. And I know Ross Bolin and I, one of the other actors in the play,
Angelo, yeah.
Angelo, yeah, with the chain. We were looking at each other during rehearsals and said, who knew we were going to dance this much? Just joy, just so much fun. So much fun.
Well, thank you all so much.
Thank you.
I think those are all the questions I have for y'all. Thank you.